Hey, it's Wrestling Hero Figs. We're going to be looking at the super heavyweights of WWE. Past, present, and soon to be future. Braun Strowman, I know you're going to be fitting that role, and this ain't it, you guys. What you see here before you, this is not even a fraction of the figgies that we're going to get in here. Last time we did it, everybody's like, what about this guy? What about him? What about all these customs that haven't been made? So what we do? Well, we put them on the left, we got them on the right, we literally got them scattered all throughout the arena. We could not contain them in this small frame, so we make things happen here for you. It's one that we can definitely consider right here. Kevin Nash. We got big, sexy, over 7 feet tall. We got some NWO. Let's drop the 2 sweet. And I want you guys to drop it in the comments. What's super heavyweight? It doesn't matter if it was during Golden, Generation, or Ruthless. Tell me what super heavyweight was your favorite of all time. I know there's a lot in here that we're going to cover that you might be like, well, I know Big Show. I know he's one of the best when it comes to WWE. But as far as AEW, that still has yet to be determined. Think of all the possibilities too. All the gears that we have not seen Mattel released that AEW could start capitalizing as soon as they get the rights and all the figures motion, man. 7'2", 500 pounds at the prime towards the end. You know, guy did lose quite a bit, but still a giant and one of the best giants of all time. Now, Yokozuna, this guy right here, this guy was a very special man, and I mean this in every single way. Like, this guy was tipping towards the end of the career, I would say well close to the 600, and actually surpassing 600 pounds. But his agility, like the way that this guy moved through the ring, like let's say Kevin Nash, or during this time, Diesel, he'd step in the ring, right? He throws him across the ring. Big Yoko drops him. He even does freaking back kicks. You name it, he did it. Drop, bonsai drop. We were doing it all the time. And one guy right here, towards the end right here, that it just didn't play out well. And I really hope right here that is like what he did in WWE history gets segmented throughout all these years. We know that Andre the Giant, and I know I'm bringing a lot of heavy hitters, but wait until we get into the main event, right? Because there's always got to be some kind of main event. What superstar is going to fit that bill? Even though this figure is sitting right alongside with really anything that you're about to sit in here, this is freaking gem. Now, I'm going to talk about this for a sec. Apart from the man being 7'4", and I know they pushed the size on a lot of these guys. Most of the times they were advertised at least 2 to 3 inches taller than what they actually were. This guy was closer to the 7 foot, but yes, big dude, man. This guy pounded through the beers. One of the greatest fixes. So I'm going to call this right here, apart from Mattel, but one of the greatest fix-ups of all time. We got that racing right here from the Super 7, combining with the old Jacks. I love this, you guys. I don't know what it is, but this was like the centerpiece when we started displaying all these figures, and that's exactly what we did. A lot of these right here, they are own individual shelf. They've all been sectioned off, and the WHF Biggie shelf as the heavyweight section. Samoa Joe, oh man, this guy's always dropping that like. He says, drop a like if you guys want Hero Figs to go through all these freaking heavyweights, man. This guy was well over 350 pounds. Now, in the beginning of the career, I am going to say the guy wasn't making that much of an impact up until the time that he decided to upgrade himself, get the red tights, and let the people know that he meant business. I mean, this guy made it all the way to WrestleMania. They had this match where it was Vince McMahon. I know there was also Bobby Lashley. Yes, I'm talking about the exact same Trashley that is being on TV right now. Who lost? They got their hair shaved off. Now, Umaga, he ended up winning. You know what? We can talk more about that, but we still got to keep rampaging through this because we need to get that Great Khali up in here. Hero Fix, where'd you get the elite articulation? Great Khali. Well, I'm going to fill you in, man. For all those that are stopping to the channel for the first time, first of all, hit the subscribe button. Drop a like if you guys are enjoying the formula from head to toe, or is it from toe to head? It don't matter. We got it all put together. For those that aren't familiar, I'm going to tell you the quick rundown. We basically had a Big Show from the waist up. I still used a lot of Great Khali parts from his original release because we've only seen them in basic. So the head scan, the lower boots, all that comes right out the basic. And the legs right here, these came out of Rowan, which, you know, it's definitely worth the mention. I want to get some honorable mentions in here because I know even for Rowan, even though he wasn't like, 7 foot or 400 pounds, he was well over 300. He was standing well over about 6'8", give or take. And the guy freaking moved. A lot of these guys that you're going to get in here, they were just agile, like regardless of them being demonstrated as the dominant superstar. Now, Mabel, I can't necessarily say this because right here, Every time this guy stepped into the ring, bad things were going to go down. I don't mean like the match was going to be bad. It was that someone was going to end up getting injured, and there was different transitions right here within this superstar. Great Khali, did you like any of them? Well, my personal favorite that we still have yet to see, it's going to be Big Daddy V. We already got the Viscera, and I know every single time we talk about this man, we want to see that gear. And then maybe that's the thing that it requires, you guys. You got to go in the comments. Tell us what gears you guys would love to see going forward, because we still need to get a lot of those. You know what, Mabel? You ain't standing, so we're going to get the big red machine. We're going to get Kane. Hell, fire and brimstone. Kane is back. Oh, guys, gotta bring Kane, right? If Paul Heyman, well, actually not Paul Heyman, but if Jim Ross was to be present right now, that'd be the first thing screaming out of his mind. The debut, it occurred at Hell in a Cell. He came out, he says, Undertaker, there is no way that you're gonna come out here and still carry that name after you burdened me as a child. And Undertaker's like, ease up, man. You ain't gotta be all that. So yes, size, we're talking about a 7 foot tall, actually taller than his actual brother, because Undertaker, he was only registered at 6'10", but still, these two right here, the rivalries. I'm talking about the endless matches, WrestleMania after WrestleMania, and for me, this has got to be ranked in one of my top 3 super heavyweights of all time. The history that this man has done. I mean, he did it for 30 years. A lot of these guys were suffering already at 10 years. I ain't pointing any fingers, but Undertaker, nothing was putting this man down. The only thing that was going to keep him down was his iron will, because every year, and I mean like year after year, this guy kept saying, all right, I'm hanging up my boots. I'm going to leave everything in the middle of the ring. But then the greatest Royal Rumble ride, Saudi Arabia, rolled around. Let's go ahead and say that. And Vince McMahon's like, dude, you need to get back to work. He didn't have all that great of a match over there, so he wanted to have one more, and that was that Buried Alive. Or actually, no, it wasn't a Buried Alive, but we know AJ, he was getting buried. If he was going to be facing Undertaker, you weren't going to be stepping in as a 7 foot tall, certified G Big Cass, and one of the greatest shapes of his life. And I ain't talking about the figure, because technically when this figure was put out, this wasn't reflecting as to what we're actually seeing right here with him. Now, we actually saw him at an indie show not too long ago, and he's definitely in one of the best shapes, man. I'm surprised. I wouldn't take it all that far as Vince McMahon rehiring him back on, seeing him how he's been doing lately, regardless of all those alcohol issues. You know, Vinny, he ain't gonna hold back. Now, Tensai, I'm gonna call this the lost character, right? A-Train, great. During Attitude Era, great run, man. Him and Test. We had TNA, Prince Albert. But then the return ended up coming back, and this guy came out all masked. He eventually took it off. He took the robe off. He was fighting John Cena. He was actually beating John Cena. And keep in mind, this was during the burial process of every single young talent that was being come up right here to WWE. John Cena taking their place. But Tensai, he was actually defeating him. That was a clear memory that I remember. Now, after that big victory over Cena, it kind of died out after him. And A-Train, that might have been a choice that he could have done, but instead, he went down to NXT. He helped out the young talent, kind of like what Mark Henry liked to do, right? He was right there in the weight room. He was pumping the iron. He's like, you know who I am? He's like, well, yeah, aren't you that world's strongest man? The guy that's picking up all that weight, slamming them around, and that's what he did, dude. Over 400 pounds, Mark Henry, dominant man, dude. I'm talking about ruthless aggression as one of the top 5. And I understand if some of you guys disagree with that, but I'm going to tell you this, right? Somebody gonna get their ass kicked. Somebody go and get the wig split. Rosie right here, he was getting his wig split left and right. Hurricane, the side gig man, they were superheroes. That's what they were being portrayed to be. But as far as like career guys, like when it comes to like the whole Samoan family, Roman Reigns, Yokozuna, Rosie, yeah, I'm not going to say he was that bad, or what are we going to call it? It was like the little bear, right? He went in there was 3 of them. There was a big one, a middle one, and he was down at the bottom. Guess where Rosie stood? Even though he was a superhero, he was standing right there at the bottom of the tadpole. Now, I'm going to tell you something, right? You guys are always asking me, Hero Fakes, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? I'm going to tell you this right now. It wasn't my fault. Snitsky. Now, we could have had 2 different options. We could have done the one with the hair. We went with without, mainly due to, I mean, look at the cringe factor. Drop a like if this head scan right here is at an all-time cringe factor. The teeth, I know this wasn't the man's actual teeth, but he was coming across right here as just a freaking scary guy. Who remembers those promos with him and Lita? Like, they were just bad, dude. They weren't good. Nothing good was going to derive from that, but something will derive good from this video today, and that's being the big LG over there right now. Well, we can say AEW, we can say TNA, but at some point, he will be talked about as one of the best. I mean, he didn't just play as Luke Gallows. He also played as Fake Kane, the Bullet Club. I mean, all over the world, this guy was making an impact. Kane didn't appreciate it, right? Because he's like, wait, you're going to play as Fake Kane, and I'm supposed to be okay with this? Well, someone's got to play. The only guy that was close enough to that marker, Mabel, get the hell out of the screen. What are you still doing over here? It was this man right here, the Big LG. So yes, over there, he's still going to carry all that what he did throughout all, I'm going to call it ruthless aggression and part of Attitude Era. And if you don't, you know who's going to do it? You better call your mama, yeah, Turkey Tits. If you guys remember Turkey Tits, go in the comments, let me know. And that's not a name that I'm giving to the man. I mean, his original name was Brodus Clay. But yeah, GTS Wrestling, they did this man wrong. And they did him wrong in so many ways. And even in WWE, like, this guy initially, when he first made a debut, he was supposed to be like the scary, dominant, but then they turned him into this party animal. He had the freaking whole dance floor lit up. Everybody was dancing and having a good time. And you know who did it the best? Out of any super heavyweight in history, I'm going to call these right here the oddities, the ones that truly did it the best, right? We had Silva Kurgan, and I'm still calling him Earthquake. I know that wasn't the man's name, but under the disguise, that's what it was. All these guys, I mean, Silva, not in WWE, but I'm talking about across the pond. This guy's known as one of the giants right there as to what he did over there. And Kurgan, I know he played a lot of important roles, not as like the clown right here for this whole trio, but I'm talking about like actual Hollywood. I remember in 300, that moment that he had right there towards the end, freaking iconic. And Cartman, come on, bro. This is the super heavyweight that you're going to remember after watching this video 10 years later. You're going to come around and you're going to be like, you remember that video that Hero Fix did? I do. Wasn't Psycho Sid in there? Hero Fix, was he? I don't know. I know he's making the return back into the Figgy line, but today he's coming back right there when he was teaming up. Well, you know what? One of the greatest feuds, at least for me, it had to have been with Undertaker. Undertaker had a lot of great feuds during the beginning of his career. I'm going to consider Psycho Sid as one of the best. And not when it came down to the storyline, because if you put this man on a mic, something bad was going to happen. Nothing made sense as to what the hell he was saying. And Vader, dude, I don't want to bash this man, but initially we had a lot of high expectations for Vader. He was making TV presence. He was on Roseanne. But when it came to the squared circle, when he was fighting Shawn Michaels, what did they do? They didn't do him right, man. Even in WCW, actually, you know what? I'm going to say WCW, that was definitely his better run as opposed to WWE. Now, for King Kong Bundy, this guy right here, he had it come glory out the gate. What do I mean by that? Well, Hulk Hogan, he found him. He found him overseas. He's like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you not in WWE? You're 6'4", 458 pounds, and that's what he did, man. He says, I'm going to bring you to the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania. Me and you, we're going to fight it till the end. And if you know what? If he's not okay with it, then Big John Study says, dude, you can't be taking my role, dude. I am the big man. This is golden era, but there was time, dude. It was point of transition. And this man right here, one of the moments that I'm going to go ahead and call him as one of the best is winning the Rumble, dude. I think, actually, come to think of it, the very first man to win the 30-man over-the-top Royal Rumble. And a lot of these super heavyweights, they've always benefited from that Rumble. If you're big, if you're over 7 feet tall, you're automatically a target. So if people are going to be coming after you and you end up winning, guess what? You're getting a huge thumbs up. And one man right here, now this right here, this is its own entity. This figure could individually take an entire shove in and of its own. And I don't think we've actually ever gotten this figure mold released in any other figure, and it makes perfect sense, man. Akeem right here, he originally did come with the shirt and a little hat piece, but I wanted to show you the monstrosity of what this man was carrying, dude. Freaking awesome. Who remembers that movie? I think it was Coming to America. It was Eddie Murphy. He had brought a bunch of party people. Shit, I think even Bam Bam Bigelow was also part of it. Bam Bam right there, one of the best moments, at least, you know, for the mid-card level, was him right there. Was it Taylor? Yeah, it was NFL. It was WWE. Well, actually, WWF versus NFL during that time. And Bam Bam Bigelow, he was showing the entire universe. And I mean that because it was two different worlds. If it was NFL and WWE come together, Dusty Rhodes, he had to come out dancing. He's like, yeah, you know what? A lot of you might be turning into jokes, but not me. No, this guy's attitude, his way that he perceived life is something that has to be remembered for days on end. The American dream, that was a real thing at some point. And I know today, in today's lifestyle, this man right here might be considered more of like, yeah, we're having a good time. No, an American dream is a real thing. And I'm going to call Gorilla Monsoon part of that when it comes to Golden, even transitioning into new generation, because I know he was doing commentating later on in the years. This guy was one of the greatest commentators, or if you go back to his actual wrestling career, his in-ring ability definitely fits the bill right alongside with really anybody. And we got one last OG. Actually, we still got quite a bit, but what I mean, like back to the where it all routed right here, you guys. We had Hillbilly Jim, a very difficult figure to find complete. Like, you might find him without the actual cloth piece or the hat, but if you find him, like, let's say around $80, definitely don't sleep on him, because that one right there, absolute must to add to the collection. As far as Tugboat, a lot of you may not remember the actual character, but if you want to go and talk about like a memorable moment, I'm gonna go and call it Shockmaster the most memorable moment of this man's career, which sucks, dude. Like, why does the most memorable moment have to be where you were made a complete fool of? And I know it was an accident, but you know what? Nothing's an accident. Getting into some TNA, these two right here, again, honorable mentions. Matt Morgan, he was in WWE, and again, another man that was close to the 7-foot tall marker. Abyss, he was about 6'8", so really not close to that. But when it came to TNA, I mean, a lot of the guys, I would say they were about 6 foot or below. So these guys, they were freaking mastodons. They were giants, demonstrating as to what they were doing in the TNA ring. And I want to talk about the actual current ring, because I know you guys are always pointing over there like, what's going on with Braun Strowman? What happened with Heidenreich and Ruthless Aggression? I'll tell you what happened. Him, the Dead Man, they got into this feud, and then they said, we need to get all that current run right here. What's going on in WWE and NXT? Get out of my way. We need to talk about, yes, look, Heidenreich, oh, epic dude. His whole freaking Legion of Doom dominance, huge fan of that, but these two men right here truly represent as to what current WWE's put it right here for the product, right? We have Otis, and then we have Glory, man. We have Bask in the Glory. We got Keith Lee dropping high flying, and you never saw this out of a 300-pounder, and never did we see Heavy Machinery being separated. He says, dude, you forgot about me. No, I didn't forget about you. Then he wanted to stop pushing you. Fortunately, you made it to the Hero Fix video, and you know who's going to be the one that's going to truly dominate, at least for current? It's going to be Braun. Power slam on all three of these suckers, because Braun Strowman has finally made his match. And who is that? Who is the main event? Well, that being right here, Giant Gonzalez, 8 feet tall, Braun Strowman. He says, sir, look, I ain't trying to come at you, but damn, this custom, yes, that's right, DWO coming in with the heat. 8 feet tall. Now, I know that as far as like actual in-ring ability, not a glory man to truly talk about, but as far as like a presence, like when this guy came down the ramp, right? He made his center right there in the middle of the ring. You knew that you were at some special point. Now, RIP, one of the late greats. I'm still crossing my fingers. Drop a like if you guys want Mattel to release their own version, because we haven't seen it. I think it's time that Mattel finally releases their own version. I mean, iconic right here. Toyetic, what better way than having this guy right here with all this, I mean, it would be like Ultimate Edition. But give me your thoughts again, you guys. Let me know what super heavyweight stands out to you. Was it Golden Era? Was it Current Era? New Generation? Attitude? You name it. We had it in today's video right here. This was a work in the making for several months, dude. A lot of these customs we haven't seen. So if you are curious, like, bro, what about this guy? How'd you get him? How are you getting that Giant Gonzalez? You gotta customize, dude. You got a little dab. You gotta paint. You got to get down to the nitty gritty and bring it all. I want to thank you guys for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Come on, Big Show. We need them figs right now.